Perspectives, a current affairs discussion program on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi, Benue State. Today on Perspectives, we shall focus on the World Day Against Child Labor. The United Nations has set aside June 12th every year to be observed as World Day Against Child Labor. And ahead of the observance of this day on Wednesday this week, we shall focus on it and give an insight into what are the acts that constitute child labor that poses the menace to the well-being of children. According to statistics by the United Nations, child labor is a growing issue around the world, and they estimate that over 8.2 million children worldwide, 72 million, especially in Africa, are facing the challenge of child labor. And also in Nigeria, around Benue, issues of child labor and the concerns around it have been growing. So we shall look into it, we shall interrogate the concerns surrounding this. And I've been joined here on Perspectives this morning by two discussants who will lead us in sharing thoughts on this subject matter. First, I'd like to welcome the head of Public Enlightenment, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Makurdi Zonal Command. Mrs. Torkwase Yaji is our guest on Perspectives. Welcome to Agate Radio, Mrs. Yaji.
Thank you very much. Good morning, listeners.
Good morning to you. We also have a member of the Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labor. She is also the Executive Director, Comfort Center for Child Advocacy, Response and Empowerment, Barrister Ihechi Olanrewaju. Welcome to Perspectives, Barrister Olanrewaju.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning.
Good morning to you. My name is Nathaniel, Nongu, welcoming you to this Monday edition of Perspectives. And if this is your first time tuning in to the program, kindly be informed that this is an audience participatory program. You can call in or send a message to contribute on what we are discussing. The program is broadcast from now to 11 a.m. And at 10 o'clock, we shall open the telephone lines for you to call in and also share your thoughts with us on the subject matter. Let me avail you the telephone lines through which you can reach us. Once it is 10 o'clock, you can call in on 0814-335-9292, 0814-335-9292. You can also send us a text message or a chat on WhatsApp on 0912-699-9404, 0912-699-9404. The line for messages and chats will be activated as soon as we begin the discussion. And if you are sending a message, please remember to include your name and the location you are sending the message from. Let's also inform you, dear listener, that this program is streaming live on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and also X, formerly Twitter. If you go to the Twitter space, you will find us there and follow the live stream of this conversation. You may drop your comments on these links, and if they are related to the subject we are discussing, we will take it as your contribution. Also, you can log on to www.agateradiotv.com to listen to us live. If you log on to the website, please go to the top right corner. You click on the radio icon there, and you'll be sure to listen to us. And if you have your Radio Garden app on any device at all, you can also listen to Agate Radio there. I'd like to begin with you, Mrs. Yaji. What do you make of this day set aside by the United Nations, June 12th, every year to be observed as World Day Against Child Labor?
Good morning once again. The International Day Against Child Labor is observed on the 12th of June, as mentioned earlier. Every year, it aims to raise awareness and mobilize efforts to prevent child labor. It highlights the importance of protecting children's rights and ensuring they have access to education and safe environment to grow up.
All right. Let me come to you now, Barrister Olanrewaju. Also, give us your thoughts of what you make of this day, the World Day Against Child Labor.
Thank you very much. World Day Against Child Labor is a very important day and should be marked, and so it's a very welcome development that it is recognized internationally, and countries are taking note of the day of International Day Against Child Labor, we discover that in society generally, one of the group of persons that face abuse, neglect, and a brunt of the negative effect or negative things that happen in society are children. And so we need, it's very important that light is shed on the abuses and the negative things that happen to children, so that we can begin to find out ways to help children to come out of these problems and begin to provide solution to children. Now, because children are very impressionable, because children are very quiet, sometimes they do not speak when they are going through things, it might be very difficult to have a child speak up and say the things that they are going through. So days like this help to highlight issues that are surrounding children, issues that are affecting children, so that everybody knows that we must protect our children together. We must work together to see that the future of our nation or the future of the world is protected. So International Day Against Child Labor is a very, very welcome one. And I think nations all over the world who are embracing it should continue to shed light and spotlight the event.
Okay, Mrs. Yaji, I am back to you now. NAPTIP has been in the forefront of causes about trafficking. Does your mandate also cover issues of child labor? And if they cover, what have been the experience in the field with regards to curtailing child labor?
I would like everyone to know that child labor is a form of human trafficking. And then why is it a form of human trafficking? Because it's the exploitation of children. And you all know that human trafficking is on the rise every day, as well as child labor and child abuse. So it is being highlighted that most times children are put in a situation where they are given the opportunity. They are not given the opportunity to go to school, rather to take care of adults. In the field, we have experiences where children of less than 18 years going around selling for their parents, going around looking for food for their parents around, and going around taking care of their younger ones. I think a child should be taken care of rather than the other way around. And it will interest you to also know that the exploitation of children, it happens every day. And in Benue too, it happens almost every day and everywhere. You will agree with me that on the streets of Benue, we will find children selling hawking during the school hours, and a child has a right of education, and it's necessary that children should be in school, not around hawking and making money for adults.
Okay, so looking at it, even hawking can constitute issues of child labor. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes.
All right, let me come to you now, Barrister Olanrewaju. Give us those acts that constitute child labor, because oftentimes the concept may be understood in a broad sense. But what are those specific acts that can be pointed out to constitute child labor?
Also, child labor is it's become normal, and it's so much around us now that there are everyday activities that we see that we have termed normal, but in actual fact, it's child labor. For example, she mentioned something about hawking. Children hawking, everybody has taken it as, everybody, they are trying to make a living, or they are trying to garner a form of living for their parents and their family, but it's actually child labor. Children who are taken to be domestic workers, because the law provides that any child under the age of 18 should not be taken to be a domestic worker, should not be working as a domestic worker. That is also child labor. You see children in forced and exploitative labor, children that are working in factories, that is child labor. Children that are being trafficked for sex, that is child labor. Children that are brought, you find, we receive reports of children who are in the IDP camps being forced into people's farms to work, and labor daily, and they are given maybe mega food or something. It's child labor. So child labor is so much around us. It's we can keep giving examples and examples of things that can be termed as child labor. So it's so much around us. It's so much around us. You see a little child carrying and lifting heavy objects, heavy wood. You see children offloading blocks from a trailer a trailer or truck, and you think they are making a living. It's child labor. There was a day I was at the park, and I saw a child 10, 9 years, literally sweeping a whole wide park. And when you ask him, he said they will pay him some money. It's child labor. So these things are around us. Those things are child labor.
All right. I am back to you now, Mrs. Yaji. Listen to your colleague. She highlighted the one issue which I would like you to expand on with regards to what NAPTIP is doing. She mentioned the sex exploitation, especially from children. Do you face such experiences now? What is NAPTIP doing with regards to curtailing the menace?
Oh, well, like she rightly mentioned, the issue of child sex exploitation.
Yes.
It's hard that a lot of children are involved. Will I say involved in sexual exploitation by adults? You see, for example, we have cases of children less than 10 years being sexually abused by others. Those cases, when they come, apart from investigation and prosecution of the offenders, we also carry out awareness where we like to educate the general public on the various forms of abuse on children, and also reporting process and the referral mechanism, as well as signs of abuse in children. So when those cases come, most definitely NAPTIP swing into action that if a child is involved, the child is rescued and taken to our shelter, where we offer counseling and rehabilitation. Also, we make sure that the perpetrators are put to book and taken for prosecution.
All right. Barrister Olanrewaju, I am back to you. Now let's look at the theme for the World Day Against Child Labor this year, which is Let's Act on Our Commitments and Child Labor. Over time, this day has been observed. What does this thing entail, and is Nigeria acting on its commitment with regards to ending child labor, if we should reflect along this theme?
Well, we have a lot to do, and that's the truth. We are trying. We see agencies coming up and working. For example, in NACTAL, there's a lot of awareness, a lot of advocacy campaigns. There's a lot of going to the marketplaces and telling people things that are child labor and child trafficking issues. We see agencies like NAPTIP that are very, very active and very, very busy in Benue State, particularly. So we have there are a good number of things going on when it comes to commitment. But as we all know, things can always get better. Things can always get better. Where we are now, it's not good enough, because if you go out there, you still see children who are still hawking. You still see children who are still begging. You still see children who are not in the school premises when they should be in the school premises. So it shows that there's still a lacuna somewhere. There's still something that can be done, and we need to put up more work. So the theme this year on commitment is very, very key. And one thing I want to highlight on commitment is commitment of everybody. Not just commitment of agencies, not just commitment of those in government, but commitment of everybody. And by this, I mean, bystander interventions. When you see something happening outside, please say something. You see something wrong with a child, we must all be committed to protecting these children. There's a popular saying that child protection is everyone's duty. Ensuring that children are safe and protected is everyone's duty. So commitment is not just from the government, it's not just from the agencies. For example, if no one reports to NACTAL or to NAPTIP, the child will not be helped. So everybody must continue to put hands together, must continue to work together and see that children are better protected. So this year's theme is a good one and can be, everyone can improve upon our commitment to children's protection.
Okay, Mrs. Yaji, also give us your thoughts on what you make of this thing for the World Day Against Child Labor this year, which is Let's Act on Our Commitments and Child Labor.
Like she rightly said, commitment is for everybody, not just for the law enforcement agencies, not just for the CSO. And I would like to most importantly emphasize on parents. Parents need to be intentional about bringing up children and intentional about their children. So this commitment involves parents, involves everybody, involves all hands to be on deck to end child labor.
Okay. Oftentimes, when we're like some of the child labor acts highlighted earlier, parents could see them as a way of actually training children. Like, I don't know whether it was you that mentioned somebody sweeping a park. For parents, they say they are training the child to have a sense of self-reliance or fend for oneself. What do you make of this?
Okay, so when an act there are certain acts that, for example, agriculture, horticulture, there are certain acts that are provided within the law that a child can do under the protection and the guardian of their parents. Now, those things are possible, a parent who and when these things are done, are provided for, a parent who sincerely cares for the child should be able to tell what limits of assignment or job a child can do. Now, there was this trending video about little children in a primary school who were carrying heavy buckets of water on their head. And there was this woman who was passing and confronted the teacher, saying, how can you give these 7-8-year-old children these huge buckets of water to carry? Now, if you ask that teacher, she'll say she's training them. That is not training. That is exploitation, labor. A child is sent to school to learn. You are asking them to carry heavy buckets of water on their head. It's not training. And that's one thing also with African, it's good to discipline, but there is a thin line between discipline and wickedness. You need to be very careful so that you say you are disciplining a child. Somebody will carry big sticks and hits a child. You say you are disciplining. You are not disciplining a child. You are raising a child who will rise up against whatever it is that you're doing. That is not discipline. So we need to be very careful the things that we do as parents or as guardians so that we do not overstep our bounds. There's a way you will beat a child that the child gets used to beating and you have not passed the message. So we need to be very careful of the things that we do, that we say we are training a child. And at the end of the day, even you yourself know that you are just being wicked. It's not training.
Let's hope we move away from being wicked to actually giving the training. But Mrs. Yaji, I am with you now, and this time around, give us what makes a child vulnerable to being exploited along the lines of maybe within the confines of what constitutes child labor.
Okay, I would like to mention just a few examples here and also maybe highlight some. For me, a child is vulnerable when the home is not steady. Why I said that is, if you have maybe steady, let's put about differences between husband and wife aside. But when a mother decides to always nag, to always find faults in a child, not putting the child in a you are always, your clothes are always dirty, don't always picking faults in a child, that child will look for help somewhere. So if I have the opportunity to go for sensitization, I always tell parents or any adult around that we need to show love to these children, because if we don't show love to children, children won't be able to open up to you, and they'll be easily harmed by other adults by seeking help. So the home environment needs to be very conducive and very accommodating with love and care. Or else we will all lose our children. Like she said, there's a thin line between correction and being wicked. You know when to correct and you know when to withdraw back. That is being a very intentional parent in bringing up your child. So I will sum up by saying that our environment needs to be very caring. Our environment needs to be very loving. Our environment needs to be very accommodating for these children to be able to find help from their own parents, not from other strangers that will introduce them to something they don't want to get into.
Okay, Barrister Olanrewaju, kindly also share your thoughts with us on the vulnerability. What makes a child vulnerable to issues of child labor?
Yes, another thing would be the current economic state, poverty. A lot of parents are struggling to make ends meet, and so send their children to do all kinds of things. In the process, for example, a child that is hawking on the streets is vulnerable to trafficking, is vulnerable to attacks, is vulnerable to abuse. The child is basically exposed when you send a child hawking, or when you send a child to go and do some form of walk out. Some people just see that, I have 8 children, I cannot take care of 8 of them. So you go to Ghana, you go to Lagos, they just share them around like that. You have explored poverty in the land is one of the things, hard economic times, one of the things that make children vulnerable or open to these abuses and to labor. Another thing I want to point out is unfortunately we now live in an environment where everybody minds their business. You see a child going through something that is wrong, or that is going through something bad, and you say, if I talk, they go say na me talk, and I don't want me they go attack me. Or if I talk, they go say na me, now only you do pass, now only you see the picking. We are now raised in a society where people are mind your business on your own. Ma do my own, you do your own. Me will keep quiet. And those are the things that make children even more vulnerable. It gives attackers and abusers more effrontery to do the things that they do. For example, in NACTA, we've seen cases where some of us are at the park and you see a child who is hawking. Somebody just calls the child and says, come to my car. The child comes to the car and they talk. You're just watching for some time. And so, before you know it, the thing on the child's head has been put inside the boot and the child is entering the car. That should spell trouble immediately. And so when we see things like that, we should immediately speak up and do something. And so those are the 2 things I want to point out. Poverty and the fact that everybody's doing on your own. Mind your business. It no concern me. So may we just day our day. Those kind of things. They spell trouble for us and for our children.
All right, dear listener, in case you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on Aget Radio 95.5 Star FM Makurdi. We are discussing the World Day Against Child Labor ahead of its observance on Wednesday this week. That's on June 12th, as set aside by the United Nations. And our discussants here in the studio, I have with me the head of Public Enlightenment, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Makurdi Zonal Command, Mrs. Torkwase Yaji. Also with us is a member, Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labor, and Executive Director, Center for Child Advocacy, Response and Empowerment, Barrister Ihechi Olanrewaju. They are leading us on the discussion. You too can be a part of it by calling us later at 10 o'clock to share your thoughts with us. The line through which you can reach us is 0814 335 9292. 0814 335 9292. Yeah, meanwhile, the line for text messages and chats is already activated for you to send in your contribution, and you can send a message on 0912 699 9404. 0912 699 9404. If you are sending a message or a chat, please remember to include your name and the location you are sending it from. Keep your messages very short and simple. Don't make it too lengthy so as to enable us accommodate it. You may listen to us also on our website by logging onto our website on www.agetradiotv.com. If you log on to the website, check the top right corner, click on the radio icon, and you can listen to us live. Also, if you have your Radio Garden app on any device at all, you may listen to Aget Radio. This program is also streaming live on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, as well as X, formerly Twitter. If you go and search Aget Radio and TV out on these platforms, you'll be sure to find us there and follow this program and all other content. I am with you now, Mrs. Yaji. Give us an understanding of the kind of community advocacy that people, especially those in the rural areas, need to have about issues of child labor so as not to be unaware of the consequences?
Well, for us, in NAPTIP, we have engagement with traditional rulers concerning, when you say child labor, we also talk about trafficking, and as it is one of the forms of trafficking. We also have engagement with local government chairmen. We also have engagement with schools, even at the community levels, and faith-based organization to create awareness on these issues. And the red flag local governments, we have gone to create awareness and bring out some pressing issues in such communities. And I'll tell you that a lot of cases have been coming, and then there are a lot of interventions that have taken place also. And we have the support of these traditional rulers anytime we go, and we are really grateful for that. For them to speak with parents, also for them to make sure that their community is safe from trafficking, all forms of trafficking.
Okay, when you mention red flag local governments, I picked interest. Are there some of these red flag local governments around us in Benue that you will want greater advocacy stepped out in these places?
Yes, there are a lot of red flag local governments. In fact, right now we'll say that it's happening everywhere, but where more cases are coming from, we have from the Gwe East, we have Gwe West, where we have trafficking for labor, that's the Kurumi syndrome. And for Gwe East, we have trafficking for international borders. They go abroad. We have girls trafficked to Côte d'Ivoire, to Burkina Faso, to Mali for sexual exploitation. We have the Okum axis. We will not talk. We have a lot of cases happening at the Guma because of the farmer herders crisis. We also have Vandika local government also as one of our red flag local governments.
Okay, Barrister Olanrewaju, you are also in the field. This advocacy, the red flags local government she has pointed out, to what extent is there an advocacy in these communities to get the people to understand the consequences of these?
Okay, so she rightly mentioned advocacy and discussing with the village local government heads and chiefs and all of that. I remember, if I'm right, NAPTIP, you guys had NAPTIP had a meeting recently where there were local government heads
Exactly.
in that meeting. So these sensitizations still continue, and they must continue. We must begin to tell each other. The most important thing in reducing these issues are awareness. If you cannot deal with what you do not know. And so awareness must continue. One-on-one awareness, local government awareness, advocacy, campaigns, and all of those things must continue. So work is ongoing, work will continue to go on, improvement will continue to go on. In those, for example, the areas that she has highlighted, even Oju, Obi, all those areas, advocacy, campaigns, and all of those things still go on and continue.
Okay, but again, are the people aware of the consequences of this? Because when you carry out this advocacy, what kind of messages do you push to them? Are they aware that child labor itself has consequences that could be, very devastating to the communities and the well-being of the child?
Well, unfortunately, not many are aware. They just, like we said earlier, on poverty and some of these things are some of the problems why people do send their children for exploitative labor and all of that. But in all of our campaigns, we talk about punishments and things that, punitive measures that are spelled out under the laws for those who breach provisions of the law when it comes to labor and when it comes to child labor. So some are aware, some are not aware, but sensitization still continues. That's where it never ends. Advocacy, awareness, it never ends. We keep telling, we keep speaking, we keep sharing. For example, I'm holding right now a material that is distributed publicly for people to, it spells out offenses and it spells out punishments. These things go around, these things are still shared. Some people will know, some people will not know, but we must continue speaking about it.
All right, Mrs. Yaji, when you mentioned the red flags, local government, I am still on that, and particularly the axis where you, based on what you pointed out, that are facing the challenge of headers attacks on communities where people are displaced. Are children in the IDP camps vulnerable to this situation, and what can be done specifically to curtail their vulnerability?
Children are very, very vulnerable in the IDP camps. And I would like you to know that in 2021, some girls were trafficked from the IDP to Kwara for sexual exploitation, and they were all under 18 years. So there was fights, I don't know, but something happened during when they got there, and they said this is not what they have told them to go and do. So a call was put through, and civil defense went in, brought them back to Makurdi Zonal Command of NAPTIP. We took them back. So what happened? These parents willingly gave out these children to go and work and make money. So the situation in the IDP camp makes these parents willingly give out children. Somewhere around Agan, I think the Agan market, I went for sensitization, and a man was sitting under the tree with some people. So we were talking to them, sharing cards. And one of his wives met me, that her child, 2 of her kids, less than 5 years, were taken to Edo. A woman comes, give the husband 5,000 naira and take these children to Edo. And I now went to the man. We started talking. I now asked the lady, can you come to the office? Can you come and give a statement? Let's see how far we can go about this. So this man too came. We're able to sensitize him and create awareness. No matter how bad it is, we still have schools, UBA schools around the Agan axis. Take them to school. Nobody takes care of your child better than yourself. So the farmer headers crisis have given us so much concern, because children are being taken and moved away. But to God be the glory, we are still creating awareness, just like Mrs. Olanrewaju has said. Awareness is being created. Those that don't know are knowing now. And if you know and you just go ahead to take your child for labor exploitation, or any child for labor exploitation, you'll be put behind bars if NAPTIP knows about it.
Okay, Mrs. Olanrewaju, Barrister Olanrewaju, I am back to you now. This same concern of the vulnerability of the IDP's children, as pointed out by your colleague, is there any kind of advocacy you are taking directly to the IDPs to get them to understand the consequences of this?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Sensitizations have been going on in the IDP camps, and so that they can know what exactly is child labor, what exactly are the abuses that their children can face. For example, you see in the story that she gave, the children were the ones who said, this is not what we were told to come and do, this is not what we're brought here for. And so they were able to speak up. And so one of the things that our advocacies do is to ensure that people are aware when something is done that is wrong, or when boundaries are being unnecessarily pushed, and when there is a right of a child that is being contravened. You know, earlier when you were asking about the things that make them vulnerable. We said poverty, and that's the truth. Because of their peculiar situation, they think that, allowing the children to go and getting the little money they can get will help them, but the help is just temporary. And so we make them see that this help is temporary. This child that you're setting and letting go can be a blessing to you and will be a blessing to you. So sensitizations are still ongoing. Organizations are going in there, NACTAL, NAPTIP, going in there, collaborating, and and giving awareness to persons in the camp even on CSO level too. People are going into the camps and sharing, apart from sharing materials to them, letting them know what an abuse is, what is child labor, the agencies you can report to, and the necessary steps to take. So it's a continuous process, because you can't just go there once. Somebody who is hungry, you tell them one time, they may listen, we go again, you go again, and it continues. So the process continues until we hit the mark.
All right, Mrs. Yaji, I am back to you again. Let's look at what your agency, NAPTIP, is doing across the local governments, even those that are not red flags local government. What are you doing with regards to engaging them? Because it is alleged that some of these people who come to take these kids are operating as syndicates. What are you doing with regards to besting these syndicates?
NAPTIP is one stock agency. We have the investigation and monitoring department, where they carry out investigation and mount out surveillance in all the local governments, as well as the IDPs and refugee camps, to make sure that the activities happening there are trafficking free. And also we have the counseling and rehabilitation department, where if in any case we find victims of trafficking or child labor, as it may be, we bring them for counseling and rehabilitation in the department, as well as empowerment to them, so that they will not go back to such activities, yes, such acts. And also we have the Public Enlightenment Department, which I am heading. We create awareness. We bring programs that will help people understand the issues surrounding human trafficking and the effects, as well as on the human being, on the victim, and even on the parents also. And we'll also, during this awareness, we'll also let parents know that it is okay for your child to be with you. Train your child yourself, and it's okay if your child needs help in skills acquisition. We have skills acquisition center in the shelter, where we can be able to offer this particular set of persons. And we have the legal and prosecution, where when cases come, they are able to sit, talk about the cases, and see with the ones that will go for prosecution, the ones that will actually have immediate intervention. So that's basically what we do in the command as regards to curbing this menace.
Okay, but is your agency aware of the alleged activities of the syndicates operating to preying on children, to exploit them in terms of labor?
Yes, they are aware. Like I earlier said, we have surveillance. People mount surveillance even around the Makurdi town, where we go out to find out one or two things. But just that if you go today, and the issue of child labor, like Mr. Olanrewaju has said, is becoming normal for people to send out children to go and hawk. So the best thing to do is to let these parents know that children hawking during school hours, it's not good. So like she rightly said, like my colleague rightly said, awareness should be created. Some parents don't even know that it's wrong to send a child at that age to look for money, or send that child to hawk, or send that child for menial business at that age. So like she said, we need to create more awareness even in Makurdi town, because it is more here.
Okay, we are facing the challenge here, right here in Makurdi
Yes.
town. Okay, Barrister Olanrewaju, if we are facing it in Makurdi as a town, then it means what will be happening in the rural communities should be a source of concern. So walk us through what your own agency too is doing, because, and of course, the network against child trafficking, abuse, and labor. Are you aware of the activities of syndicates, and what are you doing with regards to mounting surveillance to get them arrested?
Okay, so it's a scary thought that if it can be happening in Makurdi right here, what is really happening in the rural areas?
Yes.
And so one thing that we do as NACTAL is not a one member, it's a network of civil society organizations having at their core child protection and protecting children from trafficking, abuse, and labor. So these different organizations in the different, not just in Makurdi right now, in Otukbo, in whatever local government it is you want to talk about, are present and on ground doing sensitizations, receiving reports on child labor, receiving reports on child trafficking. And once these reports are received from whatever part of Benue State, we organize or we liaise with security agencies like NAPTIP, and begin to work on helping these children get helped. We have had some successful cases too of children who have been brought, who were trafficked and have been brought back and have now been put back, reunited with their families, no matter how far away they traveled or they were sent away from Nigeria. So what we do at NACTAL is we have presence, civil society organizations who are members, we have presence in all the local governments of Benue State. Once we hear reports, once we receive reports, we liaise with the necessary agents. We have partners that we work with and get the cases on moving. The most important thing here is that people, like I said earlier on, people need to report. People need to begin to speak up. If you do not speak up, children will keep suffering. Abuse will continue. People need to speak up. People need not to be afraid. The popular phrase, if you see something, say something, is needed much more now than ever before. So we need more people speaking up so that we can get more help for children. The fear that if I talk, they no fit do anything, or they fit not do anything. By now, we should begin to suppress that fear. Just speak up first. Let us see if something can be done. And I assure them, by the grace of God, something can be done and the children can be helped.
Okay, Mrs. Yaji, are there categories of children of what ages that are more vulnerable to being trafficked for labor, exploitation, or any other acts that are against what the law spares as far as handling of children is concerned?
Let me first define who a child is. A child is anybody that is less than 18. So if the categories of children that are highly exposed to labor exploitation are from 5 to 10 years. You agree with me that sometimes you see children around 5 years carrying granules on the head around for sales. And this category of children are exposed to a very dangerous environment by doing such acts. Because if you find a 5-year-old to 10-year-old selling, what comes to your mind? Where are your parents? Why are you selling? Why are you not in school? And then most times, if I interact with them, they say they are doing it for school fees. Their mother has asked them, or their dad has asked them for school fees. Go and sell for school fees. So at the age of 5 to 10 years, you find a child selling is a very sorry thing. It's really sorry, because that child is a very dangerous environment at that moment.
Okay, and this cuts across all gender, male and female?
Male and female, yes.
All right. Is there something you would like to add to this? Barrister
No,
Olanrewaju.
yeah, she's absolutely correct. But let me just quickly state that a child under the law is anyone below the age of 18. And so to begin to identify what groups or what brackets we might be, to begin to identify one bracket, she's right, 5 to 10 usually are in those very dire situations. But for purposes of enlightening every one of us, any child below the age of 18 should not be involved in child labor. Any child below the age of 18. Our children these days, we have children who are so big that you see a 15-year-old child looking like a 20-year-old, 25-years-old child. Let us not be carried away by those things. As far as the law is concerned, if they are below the age of 18 and you begin to take, do acts that, for example, domestic workers, people who just go and bring a child from the village and say, let her come and be in my house, and she's, those children are suffering, doing housework, doing, all kinds of things, and you say you are helping the child. You are not helping. That is child labor, as long as the child is below the age of 18.
So like the issue of domestic help, some are even family ties.
Okay.
For instance, an uncle giving out a daughter to an aunt or is another sibling who is resident in a city, those kind of things, are they not obtainable in our contemporary society?
Yes, they are obtainable. And in situations like that, we might want to excuse it as, okay, family, because a family member was involved, person is like a guardian, and allow the child to go to someone else's, another family member's house to stay, and, they will say, we are sending the child to school. All right. But where that child begins to do some things that are outrightly outrageous, for example, those children are abused in your house, sexually abused, physically abused, battered on a daily basis, and doing some kind of jobs that even your child cannot do, then there is a problem. And so at that time, family will not cover, or and she's my relation will not cover. If that person is caught, they'll be dealt with under the law.
Okay. Oftentimes, Mrs. Yaji, this is also a pretext. People who, like I mentioned earlier, people who are related by family, give out their words to others on the basis of being a guardian or taking care of such a child in school circumstance. What should our people know with regards to giving out children in such situations?
Like I earlier said, anybody less than 18 is a child. And if you must bring your brother's child or your sister's child or any family member to your house, you must treat that child like your own. There should be no difference in any way. Carry that child along, because we have cases in NAPTIP that children and uncles bring their nephews or their nieces to come stay with them, and you discover that that child does not sleep maybe till 10 p.m., wakes up 4 a.m. to do the house chores while their children are still sleeping, sweep the compound, wash plate. A child needs to be taken care of, not the other way around. So if you are caught in that category, you will be definitely punished for that. So children are supposed to be taken care of, be it your uncle's daughter, or be it your daughter. You have to take care of that child like your own. Don't put that child in a condition where he or she is psychologically down.
Okay, that is the punchline, and gradually we are getting to a point where we'll open the telephone lines for you to call in. And if you're just joining us, we are discussing the World Day Against Child Labor, and this day is observed on Wednesday, June 12, and ahead of its observance, we are focusing on it today. Our discussants here in the studio is the head of Public Enlightenment National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP Makurdi Zonal Command, Mrs. Torkwase Yaji. I also have with me member Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labor, and Executive Director, Center for Child Advocacy, Response and Empowerment, Barrister Ihechi Olanrewaju. And you can call in on 0814 335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Once you connect with us, as soon as we open the line, tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Then you go ahead and make your submission. We appeal that you keep your submission very brief, maximum 2 minutes, so as to enable others also share their thoughts with us. If you go beyond 2 minutes, we may be tempted to disconnect with you. You can also send us a text message or a chat on 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. Already, that line for text messages and WhatsApp chat is activated. Let's also remind you, this program is streaming live on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter. If you search us out on these platforms, you find us, Agate Radio and TV. That's the word. Once you type Agate Radio and TV, you'll find us there. Agate Radio is, you may also listen to us on our website on Agate Radio, www.agateradio.com. If you log on to www.agateradiotv.com, you'll find us there, and go to the top right corner and click on the radio icon. You will listen to us live. These are the platforms through which you can also be a part of the program. Let's start engaging with those listening to us, as we already have several people waiting on the line. Hello, good morning.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Morning to you. Welcome to Perspectives.
Yes, Ibudu Tenenge calling from Welfare Quarters, Makurdi.
All right, good to have you on the program, Ibudu Tenenge.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at, when we look at labor means any activity one does for money. I think, am I correct?
Ibudu Tenenge, go ahead.
So now, what about the rich that they send some of their children to maybe act movies to get money? There are some little children that act movies. So can we classify that as child labor? Because during time of rehearsals, those children don't go to school, or it may affect their education. Or is it because they are highly placed in society, that is why we don't look at that labor from that aspect as a child abuse, or what? Please, maybe you expatiate, let me know more.
Okay, could that be all from you, Ibudu Tenenge?
That is all for now.
Okay, thank you. Discussants will respond to that concern. All right, thank you. Ibudu Tenenge wants us to discuss labor as it relates to other creative activities too for children. Well, we'll come back to that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to
Nathaniel.
you. Welcome.
I'm Daniel from Olanrewaju here in Makurdi.
All right, Daniel.
I want to appreciate your discussion so much. First, I want to appreciate my mommy who represents that today. She has spoken very well. And she has already speaking my mind, because the kind of enlightenment that they are doing is a very good, in fact, it's a wonderful something. And I want to charge them and let them continue the enlightenment, because you see, this country now is very hard. People, as maybe some of them, as they are enlightened people, many people will think that they don't want them to enjoy, because they are telling their children they have to go and make money, watch them they are enjoying, and they don't want their children to enjoy. But let them keep the ball rolling as they are doing. And this thing, as we just say, Nathaniel, in the villages, maybe here, people that are living IDP in Makurdi and IDP camp, then they will be advantage. But what are them that some people that are living in maybe Anyi, in the villages that you know that this thing is there. So how are they? I don't know whether they tried to went to some local governments where this IDP are counting, so that they will go and enlighten them. Because, as I said, so some of them are in very interior village that they are in IDP. So how are they doing? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. We appreciate you. Have a great day too. All right, the concern about how the IDPs are coping. But anyway, Daniel, it does appear you joined us midway, because we had mentioned that too. Hello, good morning.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Morning to you.
Yes, my name is Benjamin Tewasi. I'm calling from High Level.
Okay, Benjamin Tewasi, good to have you on the program.
Thank you, sir. Please, I want to
find out in terms of health. There are a lot of vulnerable children that are actually suffering from congenital defects. Some of them right from birth. They have some illnesses that either is cancerous or some are non-cancerous. I don't know, is there any form of advocacy that NAPTIP are doing to at least help these children? Because most of the parents are financially concerned. No, they are very poor parents. These children, they happen to die in the house just like that because the parents could not, have the money to take them to abroad or something.
Benjamin. Hello, Benjamin Tewase. I hope you understand that our focus is on the World Day Against Child Labor. I hope you understand what we are discussing.
I'm aware. That is why. Yes, I'm aware. That is why I'm asking that is there any form of advocacy in terms of children that are, on this same issue? Because we are still talking about child. I know some of them, they are actually suffering from these illnesses and they are there. Sometimes it's as a result of maybe the hard labor that they undergo. Because I know of one that was actually ill and she was still selling under the sun. And I happened to ask that, where are your parents? She told me that my parents are in the village while I'm in Makurdi. I said, who are you staying with? She said, I am staying with my auntie. I now asked her, is your auntie aware that you are sick? She said, even if she's aware, she will not do anything. So these are some of the issues that we actually have.
Okay.
And then it's really a form of concern to me, sir.
Oh, okay. It's all right. I will now get to you. We'll speak to that briefly. Thank you.
And if their department doesn't handle that, then I just want to be aware.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Benjamin. We appreciate you. Thank you for calling in. Benjamin wants to know whether NAPTIP also address health concerns for children, but we'll come back to that. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Nathaniel.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Yeah, Dondowe James from Akpa, Boko Local Government of Benue State.
All right, good to have you on the program, James. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. For regards to the people with you in the studio.
Yes, warm regards.
You see, children are gifts from God, and we have to guard them, protect them, and take good care of them. In a situation where you give out your child to go to the town, it may be a relative, but what is happened thereafter, you might not know. So people should do a follow-up. Maybe once in a while you visit the place and know the condition your child or ward is going through. It will help matters. And government on its part should at least strengthen the laws protecting these children. And neighbors as well. Every household has a neighborhood. So people around should be watchful, should be concerned that what is happening in the next door is their concern. When you have a situation where somebody is being maltreated, a person that is vulnerable, is helpless, is being maltreated, and is being forced to do labor that is high above him or her, you should say something. You should report that person to the rightful authority so that something must be done to protect these people who are the future of today. If this is done, I think it will help matters a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your contribution, James. We appreciate you. Thank you. All right, what's happening within your neighborhood with the children should be your concern. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you.
Yes, my name is Jude Peve. I'm calling from Bakumegwe.
Okay, Jude, go ahead.
Thank you. I salute your guest.
Yes.
Child labor or trafficking. This is a menace that has been going on in the society for quite a long time. Now, I appreciate you people for sensitization and enlightenment you are doing on the radio this morning. Thank you. And I want to also talk about maybe enforcement, because sometimes ago you hear that some people have been arrested for this act. Are they being punished? That is the number one question, because there should be speedy dispensation of justice. Justice delayed, justice denied. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jude. Thank you. All right. Jude is asking us whether those arrested are ever prosecuted. We'll get the discussant to speak. Do us a favor by moving away from your radio, please. Hello. I'm sorry, if you call in, you have to move away from your radio. That's the only way we can hear you. If you call and your radio set is closed on, your volume is high, it will interfere. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you so much. Hello.
Yes, you are on. Speak to us. May we know you and where you are reaching us from. Okay, Adetsav who and where are you reaching us from?
I'm calling from Bumacha, East Local Government, Bayou.
Okay. Adetsav who? Let's get the full name.
Adetsav Fred. I'm calling from Bumacha, East Local Government.
All right, Adetsav Fred. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. We're on.
And I want to thank the Executive Governor of Benue State for the bill. I think the governor has passed a bill restricting these young children to moving about. If you go to Makurdi now, most of children you see them hawking. They are 3 years. You see all of them going with peers. Want government to take a practical action on this, to arrest those children. Today is school. Most of children, when you go, you see them hawking. They went and collected them from their aunties, from villages. And when you arrest these children, ask the person who these children is staying with. That person has to be arrested and prosecuted so that this issue will stop. If not, this problem will not stop.
Okay.
That is my contribution.
Thank you, Adetsav. I appreciate your contribution. Thank you. All right, government authorities should step up in getting to stop the menace of children hawking. Thank you for your contribution. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Nat.
Thank you for joining us. Morning to you.
Good morning, Discussant in the studio.
Yes. What's your name?
This is the voice of Mark Anwang, the father from Piragagwe's local government.
All right, Father, go ahead.
Thank you so much. The issue discussing this morning concerning the child worker and child labor or child trafficking, I think the discussion in the studio has put it clear to us to know what the masses can do to contribute to save the situation. But I'm appealing to the relevant authorities that they should sit up by monitoring and checkmating the activities of child labor in our country, particularly Benue State here, because they were mentioning some local governments that are being much affected in terms of child hawking. It is true, but it's all over Benue State, if I can say so. But I want to tell the masses that we need to work what we're supposed to work and play what we're supposed to play. And everything we do, we need to be doing it to be useful and happily. Those are the ways. If we can sit up at the end of the day, if we done well, we will know. If we not done well, we can know to achieve a goal in terms of family living. Many people feel that giving our children is just an ordinary situation, but it's not so. Because when our children are in school, I think our teachers there need to take care of them during school hours. And you, as a father or a caregiver, you need to monitor your children, comparing the hours that they are being dismissed from the school. And in the family, now, and the father, the mother is there. And we are the people who brought food to the round table for the family. So I do not see a need that if I'm not a businessman and I will intending to make my child of 5 or 7 years to become a business child, it is not acceptable for me.
Okay.
So if we give out our children to our relatives, we need to monitor them where we get them, so that we know the situation on the ground. Then my question to the discussion in the studio, how those agencies are working to live with the rural community so that sometimes the useful information will be given to them, because this issue we are discussing, without the information gathering, it won't be easy for them to have to achieve a goal.
Okay.
So I want to
Thank you,
hear
Mark.
clear from them how they are doing to live with the people in the rural community in terms of information gathering.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Mark Anwangbede. We will go along, but anyway, let's engage with more people before we come back. I'll come back to you in the studio shortly. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning. Okay, we lost connection with that caller. Hello, good morning. Oh, it does appear a challenge with network. Hello, good morning. All right, let's come back. We'll begin with the first concern raised by Igbiru Tenenge, who sought to know whether children that are involved in other creative endeavors, he gave an example of acting film, for instance, and keeping them out of school. Does that also amount to child labor? Barrister Olanrewaju, speak on this briefly. Let's let him understand the context properly.
Okay, so let's quickly identify what is child labor.
Yes.
Child labor is any work that deprives children of their childhood, their potential, and their dignity. Any work that is physically, mentally harmful, socially, or morally dangerous to a child is child labor. It refers to any work that deprives children of their childhood, deprives them of their potential, deprives them of their dignity, and is harmful to their mental development. That is what child labor generally encompasses or entails. Now, a parent or a guardian who discovers that their child is an excellent actress or an actor and wants the child to begin to expose or explore these talents, it's not wrong. Your child is a creative. He plays an instrument. He draws. He paints. He colors. A child who colors, whose creative work is coloring or painting in the house, will it be termed child labor if the child is painting or coloring in the house and he sells the painting, or the parents put it out there, somebody buys it and it's put in his pocket? Are we going to call that child labor? Now, the point why I identified is this: if it's an activity that is mentally, physically harmful to a child, that degrades their potential and their dignity, then it is child labor. So in cases of acting, at least from acting, I know that a child will not be acting without a guardian being there. And also, many children, or children that I know in that I see in acting, do not act, are usually acting out of school curriculum or school timetable or school. They should be doing it outside of their such a way that their school will not be affected, such that their school calendar will not be disturbed, and their school their learning activities will still go on. So if a child, you cannot compare that. If you cannot compare a child who is acting, growing in their talents, growing in their ability, being groomed and taught carefully by their parents, we are not going to call that child labor, because as much as we are trying to protect children, we are also trying to harness their skills. We are also trying to see that they grow. It will be child labor where that child is being mentally, physically battered to do that thing. When the child is no more interested and it is now affecting the dignity of the child. When the child is being forced out of his own volition to do that thing, you are not helping the child to grow, or you are no more helping the child to grow in their ability, or you are no more helping the child to expand in their talents. You are now doing something else. That is child labor. I don't know if I believe we are able to get the difference between these two.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm sure you are still listening to us, and that explanation, which the concern you raised earlier. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Apostle Achimi Joel calling for Cleveland.
Okay, Achimi Joel, go ahead.
My good morning in the studio. I greet you, good
morning.
We greet you too.
What you are discussing is very, very correct.
Okay, Achimi Joel, the network at your end seems to be
The
breaking.
reason why we are having the network institution is because the weather is getting ready here.
Okay, but go ahead. Let's
It's better now.
go ahead. You are on. Speak to us.
So, as we are hearing what they say this morning, child labor is not encouraging at all. You know, some people, when they take their children, the children of their auntie to the town, they'll be molesting the children. Their own.
Oh, Achimejwe, finally the network disconnected you. We didn't allow you to make your point, but we appreciate your thoughts for calling in. The line is still open. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Emeka Anyog from North.
Hello.
Emeka Anyog from North Bank.
Okay, go ahead, Emeka Anyogo.
Yes, to me, child abuse is something that every one of us have seen these days. Many people, as you look at them, they will not give their children work that is above their children to do. But when they bring children from the villages or somewhere, they will give them work that will be above them. Some go about fetching water up to 20 times in a day, for which their children cannot do. Some go to sell, like these 3-year children. Like in North Bank, if you go to North Bank, you see a little child trying to cross roads, carrying granite on the head.
That's true.
You see a little child carrying a little child carrying something from head. So what I'm trying to say is that these our people there sitting, what efforts are you people doing to arrest these people? Because it is a practical something, it is something that is happening. It is something that we see every day. How many times have you come to North Bank? Now schools are on. You see there are some communities that doesn't allow their children to go to school, but they like giving them granite, kuli and other things to go and sell. And when you ask them at 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, how much will these children bring to the house? Some of them are being knocked down by motor. So I want the guests in the studio to please go to those communities, enlighten them, and tell them why they should not do that. And if they persist, they should be arrested.
All right.
Now, there are some people who have been taken away from this state to other areas, other states outside the country. We hear about it. So what are the motor parks? What efforts are these NAPs doing to make sure that people are being arrested? Because some of them go through the motor park. Some of them are going through one way or the other. What are they doing to police all these things?
All right.
Because
Emeka, thank you. Your point is made. We should
thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless. God bless you too. Thank you. All right. Let's go to another concern which was raised earlier by Benjamin Torkwase from High Level. He was seeking to know whether the mandate of NAPTIP extends to catering for children with some health issues. And I could see it was not directly part of our discussion, but he tried to link it. So maybe I'll request you, Mrs. Yaji, to comment on that briefly before we continue.
Thank you very much. I would like to state here that NAPTIP mandate does not include that, but through partnership with CSOs and NGOs, we can assist that particular child. I don't know, Mrs. Olanrewaju.
Yeah, yes, she's absolutely correct. Children who, for example, thank God you spoke up saying something about seeing a child with a congenital health issue. I think he said Hawking or something like that. And we mentioned earlier, if you see something, say something. There are right agencies that you can report to. She said something about partnership between NAPTIP and civil society organizations like NACTAL and other organizations. For example, in civil society organizations, we have organizations that deal with persons living with disabilities, persons living with certain health issues. If this report is being made and it is channeled to the right sources or through the right organization, of course, the child can be helped and the necessary action can be taken. If it is a case of trafficking or child labor, then it will be channeled back to NAPTIP. So when people see things like that, please just speak up. Please just say something. Civil society, any civil society organization around you, NACTAL, please just speak up and report. The child will get the necessary help.
All right. So Benjamin Torkwase, I hope we have answered your question too. We'll go along. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning to you.
My name is Akura. and usually 10% from Banku, but Bonku local government.
All right.
I regard your guest in the studio.
One regards. Igbe Makura, go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. One of the factors that is responsible for this is rich quick syndrome. In terms of those that are disguising themselves as helpers, taking these vulnerable children from their related wounds to go and be engaging them in a hard labor in order to get something. Despite the fact that the trend is not a good one, people are benefiting from this system. And what the way out here is, let us be our brothers' keepers. Let us be sincere to ourselves, change our attitudes. Let us be helping those that are in need in a way that they can benefit from it, rather than taking it to the next in a negative way. There are some children there that their parents are no longer alive, and people are taking opportunity for this by taking them out in terms of helping them, without knowing the people that are taking them out, taking them to instead of helping them in the right direction, they are rather labeling them in a hard way, which is not good. So let us change our attitudes to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Igbeima.
Engage some traditional rulers there, and two local